Hello, everybody. This is Brent. That's Bryce. I may have it right this time on the right side, the correct side, also the left side. You got that? Does that make sense? Anyway, welcome to episode 34. Yeah, nobody does. Episode 34 was last time. Episode 35 is what this one is, actually.
Correct.
So, yeah. So it's good to see everybody, even though we can't see everybody.
But you look great.
Hope.
And remember that.
Yes, you all do look great, even though we can't see.
Yeah.
So, what are we going to talk about today, Bryce? You said you got some amazing news.
Yeah. I didn't
overly
say that.
Dramatic lead in. Was that what that was?
Very, very dramatic. Because further than what I was about to say would have been a huge letdown. Not amazing news. And that's actually not even what I said. But that's not the point. It is good news, in my opinion. And I will say it right now because I will ramble forever without ever saying it and then forget that I never actually said it.
Kind of like right now.
I won something.
Hey.
First of all, that in and of itself is pretty cool. But I won something.
That would be cool for me and amazing because I have never won anything outside of basketball games. Never won anything.
Yeah, I think at least that I can remember, this is the first thing that I've won. At the very least in a very long time, but I think it might be the first thing I've ever won. I know my wife and some friends, maybe even my kids, have won some things, but not me, that I can remember. But Amazon.com/GA/giveaways. They have promotions all the time in the form of giveaways. And sorry, I'm getting messages. You have to be a Prime member, which I am. And so I go through and I don't know, once a week, once every other week, whenever I remember, I just go through and I click on the few things that I'm interested in, sometimes even things that I'm not even remotely interested in. These magnetic screen door things that are all the rage at the moment, at least here in California. So I click on a bunch of weird stuff. So I don't need this product that I won, but I clicked on it. It is something that I've been thinking about buying for like a DIY lighting situation. See if I move my hands anywhere, I've got a lot of shadows. So a little hint as to what it is, but it's an under cabinet LED kit. 3 LED strips. 12 to 16 inches long. They connect to each other by a daisy chain. I'm not a huge fan of how they connect from the wall into them. I mean, it's like there's a lot of things that you have to connect together to get these bad boys going. But once you get them all connected, they have kind of a warm tone to it. So they're not daylight balanced at all. And they're not cool, meaning towards the blue. They're a little more towards the yellowy, creamish hue, if you will. But I would love to use them, again, just kind of like as a DIY project around the lens of the camera, almost like a not a focus ring, but a flash ring or whatever they call them for portraits. But this would almost be, I say almost, this would be a triangle, but the reason I say almost is I can't get an exact angle, whatever the exact triangle angle is, I can't get that because one is a 90. So that means this one's going to be sharper. But
so they're not flexible cool. Then?
No, it's not a lighting strip. Did I say, I probably said LED strip before. They're actually in a housing about, okay. Like I said, 12 to 16 inches long. Aluminum, I'm trying to be fancy. Probably plastic though. And then they come with little clips so that you can mount them under the cabinets. Again, that's what they're touted as being, under cabinet LED strips. But either way, it was kind of cool. I think the regular price, if I were to have paid for them, would have been $30 to $35. So that's $30 to $35 I saved on something I didn't need. That's one way to look at it. So if I do end up doing a DIY lighting situation, I'll probably make a little video of it. and not to continue this path of making fun of Brent, but I'll actually do it. Wow. Called you out. So that's really my ridiculously fantastic, amazing news. You can see I'm using a different microphone because I keep forgetting to bring. I've been wanting to build a podcast kit. I've seen them online. I don't really like what I see because it's not for me. It's not. I need something quick and convenient. But maybe even if I can get it small enough to fit in a backpack. But I don't have that yet. And that's why I'm still, using a couple of items from work, which I try to not do for these. But it was just to get it up and running because I forgot. You texted me after I got here, and I was like, yeah, let me go see what I can do.
Yeah.
I carry my phone, my camera. Well, that too. I carry my phone everywhere I go. I carry my camera almost everywhere I go. And so these other bits of lighting, actually, the light over here is my aperture light, 9 LEDs, and it's about, 5 feet away, bright enough to do what it's doing. I don't know how long it's going to last because I didn't check the battery. I use it for work to light spaces, that I need.
Rechargeable battery or AA or?
Yeah, built-in rechargeables. Recharges via a micro USB into, wall wart or a computer. But I originally bought it for this, but because it's died on me a few times, I haven't used it. And I do try to keep it charged, but again, I don't remember how long it's been used. It could die at any moment, and then I'll just be lit from one bulb, not even an LED. That's how old school we're going right now. Over on this side, it's not even pointing at me; it's pointing at a wall to bounce back because I don't have any diffusion. Remember that conversation, or at least a link text I sent you last week? You need some diffusion over there. It's so harsh.
Well, yes. And right now I'm looking at it and it still looks pretty harsh. Part of the problem is, for those who know me in person, not just as an internet star.
Celebrity. Yeah.
Can we blow that up to something that's nowhere near what's true?
Let's do it.
I have some, what did we call it before? Rosacea? Red stuff.
I don't know if that's what I called it, but okay. I haven't seen it. I've seen it through this blown out lighting that you in the podcast.
Well, yes, it's the lighting may make it look worse than it is, but there are some days where it's spot on with the lighting. Okay, let me start that over. As far as the redness goes, so that doesn't help. The contrast between, like, I'm looking here and it looks like I have a mask on because the redness goes around.
Oh, you don't.
Anyway, so I'm beautiful, is what I'm trying to say.
Just the way you are.
If you like pale and then wrapped in red. But the lighting, like right now, the lighting, I have the 2 LED lights that I've talked about in the past. I don't know if we've actually shown them. Maybe we did, but we talked about them. The panels that are about that wide or so. Let's call it 9 inches wide, 3 or 4 inches tall. One is behind it's not a sheet. It is actually a backdrop. Like what's behind you is a backdrop. I assume that's cloth. This is a cloth backdrop. It is a white photography cloth backdrop. Not like what's behind me here. These are actually curtains, blackout curtains that I have behind me. There's a window back there. What I've actually thought about doing is unblacking out. Hey, how's that for poor grammar?
I like
that side and turning this whole mess around so I have some natural light. I might end up going that route. But on this side, it's a white one. And I have the light on the other side cranked up to 100 because they are adjustable. And so visually, to my own eyeballs, it's kind of dark in here. Like I wouldn't want to read something. I could read, but it would be, kind of dark. I have the other one over here. I don't know what it's on because I turned it down a little bit. But it is now also not facing directly at me, bouncing off the walls, white walls over here. So that's all the lighting. Well, that's not true. I've got this big 32-inch screen here in front of me that's casting the most light. And maybe I need to turn that guy down and the ambient light higher because, as you can see, shadows behind me. They're a little softer shadows because the light's further away and not directed directly at me. But I've been noticing, anybody that's ever seen these has noticed, my lighting isn't on point. And I've, hopefully in the next week or two, hopefully, I'll be able to make some tweaks to where I have things put that can help that. And then I've also noticed that the microphones, I like the microphones. I'm not going to buy any more microphones, but I need to do something with my audio, because what I noticed was on the last video 34 that got posted, your audio sounded good, but there's two things that work against me here. What helps you is you had that certain microphone and then you keep it really close and turned down, and then you're able to control that once you get it into whatever your editing program is. For me, I'm recording it in Audacity. I'm editing the audio in Audacity. I export it as a WAV file, generally speaking. And I've been using, what is the name of that app? Hold on, let's see if I can. I actually bought that just says NG Studio, and that's not actually what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to look for it right now, but Pinnacle Studios.
Oh, okay.
Bit 21 Ultimate. It was on sale. I think I paid a little under $100, and that's normally more than that for the Ultimate, a lot more for the Ultimate. Mm-hmm. Maybe I paid $80 or anyway, who cares what I paid? But I've been merging the video from the camera and then that audio, and it sounds fine to my ears with my Sony headphones, which they're studio headphones, old, but they're studio. But by the time I compress the mess out of it, because upon rendering it compresses it. I compress it again with Handbrake to make it smaller, a more reasonable size. That basically makes it about a fifth of the size when I then send my final version to you. Mm-hmm. And then there's another render of what you put in. So that audio is really kind of being hammered around a lot. And I don't sound, who cares what I sound like? I don't sound good anyway. But by the time it gets to the final product, it sounds considerably worse than yours, because yours has basically just that one render, maybe some tweaks to it, but mine's got all kinds of mud on top of the original mud that was produced. So well, after almost a year of this, I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah, there's a couple things you could do. First of all, in Handbrake, probably Pinnacle as well, you'd have to look into it. When you go to export it, just tell it to pass through the audio. So that way you're tweaking it, removing any background noise, whatever else you need to do to make sure it's clean. And then when you go to actually render the video, because audio is much smaller than video anyways, right. Sometimes compressing it a little bit does help, go down to 128 or 160 kilobits instead of, 3 whatever it is, 360. But that way you're not compressing it and then compressing it again and then compressing it again. You're just doing the initial rendering out to an MP3. Maybe don't even render it out as an MP3. Are you rendering it as like a WAV or a FLAC file?
WAV is what I normally do, because Pinnacle didn't like the MP3 format, at least.
Will it recognize
my very little research? So.
AAC or anything similar? I know Apple is,
have to look into it.
AAC is an Apple audio codec, but it still is recognized by some non-Apple products. Right. But so there's a few things. It's just a little bit of research, a little bit of testing on your side that you need to do. And it's totally doable. Totally. I'm in California. It's just a matter of time and finding the exact settings, because I'm using Premiere Pro. So as I do that, the naming's probably going to be a little different than in mine versus yours. So just find what yours calls it. I know in Handbrake, it's just an audio pass through. So you just need to go to the audio section, find that little thing that says, hey, take the audio and just mux it, MUX it into the video once it's done. And then that way you're not getting extra compression. Also, I will say the other microphone, the Yeti?
Yep.
It sounds at least twice as good, or 2 times better, maybe, depending on how you want to say it.
Twice as good.
Than your orange situation here. Maybe because it's cleaner coming in, it's less compression, and therefore it sounds better. I don't know the reason behind it, but I can audibly hear a difference. You're more tinny. There's more garbly situations going on, and that's usually
with this one.
With that one, yeah. So the Yeti does sound better.
Yeah, the Yeti. What may or may not be happening there? First of all, cheap microphone. Yeti, not so cheap microphone. So it
sounds good for the price you paid for it. It sounds actually quite excellent for the price you paid for it. But I'm just telling you from my perspective, listening to the videos that you've sent, the Yeti does sound much better.
Yeah, I think the Yeti is probably one closer to my true voice, which I don't like, but who cares? I
love it.
Watch
It's
the video
amazing.
all that.
It's great.
Oh, it's beautiful. I'll sing to you someday. You can change your mind.
Please do.
But
Episode
this
36,
thing grows
ladies
in
and gentlemen. Episode 36.
Yes. 36, and probably our last.
That's gonna
goes into a mixer. So whatever this is piping out, the settings that I have on the mixer may be too hot, may not be strong enough, whatever. And then from there into we've talked about it in the past. It's not a breakout box, but it's a audio to USB interface.
Okay.
Goes audio from the mixer USB into the computer. So there's a lot of little,
Well, it's actually the reverse of a DAC, right?
Right, the opposite.
CAD?
Sure.
I don't know.
Well, I'm going to agree with you. Twin Stock Tech, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here.
It's a digital converter, ADC.
Okay, we're probably spending too much time on this made-up thing here you're talking about. Oh, are you actually trying to come up with an actual acronym for what it really is?
Let's make this real. Why? No, I don't care. Just go ahead. You're taking an analog source, you're making it digital via the USB. Gotcha.
Yeah. So multiple hops from this to the computer, whereas the Yeti, just falling over, straight USB out of the bottom of this guy directly into the computer, and then, Audacity is getting it from there. So that could very well be playing a part in the audio issues.
It very well may be, as you say. Yes.
Okay.
Well,
I heard very well.
We'll eventually get this, and I'm sure it'll be right before something happens. We have to call it quits. But for now, I would say at the very least, anybody that is watching should stay tuned to see what silliness there's going to be to get us through this. I mean, I think I
might end up with an orange background. Who knows?
You know what? We should probably pick some colors. And I don't think tie-dye is it. Is that a color? But we have proven, although your camera and my camera has been consistent, pretty much everything else is different. Almost every podcast. Look around you, find something. And of course, if you're just a talking head doing your own thing, then just talking to your camera, put it close to you so you can hear it, make sure you're in a quiet space, and then you're good to go. Use some sort of headphone or the headsets that comes with it, and then you're good. So that's definitely, you've got plenty of options there. And for us, I'm using a semi-fancy pants camera. You're using a semi-fancy pants camera. I do believe, though, maybe if you were to take your audio right into the camera instead of going through every other way and then merging everything later, that might, at the very least, speed up your process. But you've been doing it a while. Maybe it's not that long now.
Well, my issue with that, to speak on that, is room noise. So I always have to take that audio, whether it's directly from the video or a separate audio source, and then clean up the sound from the air conditioner. I don't have the Apple computer in here on right now, but that was another source of a hum that would be consistent through the audio. So like right now, I forgot to turn it off before we started. If I have that off and don't have the Apple in here, then it's clean audio. However, anytime we use because I have not set I'm going to use the word favorite. I can't remember what they call it in the camera.
Preset.
A preset where I can just get it how I want it, create that preset, and then anytime settings change because we use it as a camera, we take it out somewhere, whatever, then I can jump right back and everything is boom there again. The audio, not the audio, well, the audio also, to be honest with you, but the video quality is shifted off from, I got it to a point where it was decent, not amazing, but decent. And I was basically YouTube and some other stuff that I saw online, some settings that I tried to follow for this particular camera, the Canon T6i for video, and it worked out pretty well. But again, so as soon as you shift off of that, I'm certainly not remembering all of those settings. And then in addition to that, audio is part of that. It needs to be set to manual, turn it way down because the
preamp.
Amplifier. Yeah, the preamp in there is terrible. So that's another thing where the Yeti would be a benefit if I were to go directly from this thing into, I can't go USB obviously into that, but I could go directly from that USB interface into the camera. Matter of fact, I believe, nope, it's coming out of the mixer going into the camera. But the last video, 34, there was a lot of popping and hissing because I didn't change the settings in the camera. So it was coming in crazy hot and terrible and unusable. So again, right now I'm back at the Audacity file, which is the easiest for me. And it's only a couple things. My biggest problem is background noise that I create. You hear a lot of this. They don't. Sniffing, all this other noise that happens, chairs creaking in the background. Sometimes the TV out there is on too loud, so I go in and any time in between, when I pause and you're saying something, I'll take out, just cut it out. So that's where a lot of my time goes for the audio side of things. And then the video, it's about as ugly as it goes into the camera and then it comes back out. I've yet to learn the tweaks within Pinnacle, and there aren't a ton, not nearly as many as Premiere has, but there are some, and I just don't know them yet. I've made some tweaks and it looks terrible. So that's just me going blindly without knowing specifics on settings, just trying to kind of mush my way through it like I did with Photoshop back in the day, where I would just play with it, and then until I would remember, oh, this setting does that, this setting does that. Eventually I might get there. I've still been hoping that they would come out, Apple would come out with a Mac Mini, because I would much rather transition all of this to that. And, whether or not I would drop the money for, what is it? They have a Final Cut. That's $300. So, if for something that we're not even seeking to make money on, I might not drop that much money on it. But
I'm just iMovie if you're going to do that.
Yeah, iMovie back into the iPad, if that ever gets the apps that I would like. Anyway, so yeah, we'll get there at some point. Or I'll just keep looking and sounding like this.
That's worked so far. I mean, you got us 12 subscribers. So,
hey,
there's
that is all my doing. Nobody else's help there. I'm going to take 100% credit because they're all my accounts. I'm going to admit to it now. They're all me.
I thought half of them were mom, but that's okay. Maybe you created them. They're just very
for her
name.
Yeah. Google needs to see it as a different IP address, so I couldn't just do it as mine. That wouldn't help us.
I'll give you some ways. All right, well, that looks good, or sounds good. It is good for today.
All of the above.
I was going to bring in the LED strips and kind of show them off. Maybe I'll make a separate video for that if things calm down over here. It's going to be a little busy for me for the next month and a half or so, just with life, but also working for a school district. We're starting to ramp up for the new school year, plus Southern California. I'm right at the base of a mountain that's currently on fire. So that's
Flaming Mountains, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, if we start a band, Flaming Mountains might not be a bad name.
Write that down. I might have to move, though. They might say that's a little, no pun intended, close to home. Sure. So but keep it right, keep that in the back burner. We don't want to lose it. But anyways, so, on this side, if I don't get a chance to make a separate video, maybe I'll just bring them in to a little show and tell situation.
Yeah, yep.
All right, episode 35. That's it?
That's it.
Anything else?
Not for me.
Yeah, it would be weird if there was, because then you would have just lied if you were to say that's it.
I don't do that sort of thing. That's crazy.
Good to hear. I'm sure your family's happy about that and excited as well. 36 will be coming soon. And by soon, I mean 2018.
As soon as it's up.
Yeah.
That's right.
Today's the 27th of July. So this will be up probably the beginning of August. And then maybe we'll record 20, 30, 36 before that even goes up. I mean, reaching for the stars here.
That's right.
Yeah. And I'm just rambling. So I'm going to stop.
What?
Talking.
Okay.
I'm going to stop talking.
All right.
I'm done. All right, kids.
Are you?
No. Nothing I want to bring out. Never mind. I'm done.
What you're doing is you're adding time for me to edit. Now it's an extra 2 minutes now of me trying to edit
And that's what's great about my side is I don't edit this stuff out. I just leave it. If anyone were ever watched to the end, this might even be their favorite portion of the show. They might even skip the whole thing and just go right down to the last 5 minutes. Matter of fact, I kind of recommend that.
I need to recommend that at the beginning of the podcast so they know that that's the recommendation.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think of that. Next week.
Right.
Or month.
Sure.
Ciao.
See ya. All right, we're done.